Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Way That I See It. My name is Lucy Superfox, and this is my podcast. So in this week's episode, I want to talk to you about how to stay in an abundant mindset at a time where you might feel lack. So what I mean by that is that we're in a time right now, it's pre-Christmas, I've got my full-on sparkly Christmas jumper on, and it might be that actually right now you are finding times difficult, whether it's because you haven't had the year that you thought you were going to have, maybe you're not able to pay for the things you wanted to pay for, maybe you're apprehensive about the bills that are coming in, or maybe actually you're in a place right now where, and then this is something I can really relate to, is that this is supposed to be a time of giving and generosity, and you just don't feel like you can, whether that's energetically or financially. And what I want to share with you today is a few kind of, top tips from me on how to stay in an abundant mindset in times of lack or times where you feel lack. Now, the first thing I think is important to say is that just to remember that kind of the way I'm speaking about this and what I'm teaching about this is to do with the law of attraction, right? So the reason why it's important to stay in an abundant mindset in a period of lack is because if we just stay in a period of lack, we will continue to stay in a period of lack, right? That's what will happen. If we continue to think about lack, we live in a place of lack, we will stay in a place of lack, right? And so the reason why we need to move into an abundant mindset is because we are always attracting what we are. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are, right? And so if you are currently vibrating at a level that you are focused on lack, you're feeling on not having enough, you're focused on negativity, you're feeling like you haven't got enough, then what happens is we're going to attract more of that. And so what I really want to share with you today is really the importance of why we need to move back into an abundant mindset and how to do that. So I actually can be quite a mardy person, right? So I can do things like when something pisses me off, I can feel quite ungrateful. Now, that's not towards a person or a thing or anything, right? But in the moment, I have definitely had many paddies over the years, many tantrums, many toys out the pram, many like, oh no, this is so annoying moments, right? Where I haven't felt very grateful, like especially when we lived in a rental house that we thought was going to be amazing and it turned out to be an absolute fucking disaster. And I was so ungrateful for that house the whole time we lived there. And I really tried to put myself in an abundant mindset. I really tried to be grateful for the small things, right? And I found it so hard. And the reason I found it so hard is because when we create a story in our minds of who we think we are, what we think we're capable of, what we think we're worthy of, and what we deserve, and when that story is a step ahead, which it should always be a step ahead, by the way, when our story is a step ahead of our current reality, what happens is a feeling of separation, right? We feel like, well, why am I not there yet? I should be there now. I deserve it. I believe I've done the work. I'm good enough at what I do. I needed that pay rise, whatever it is, right? And so when it feels so far away, it can be really hard to be grateful for where you are. And so I really struggled with this when we lived in this house. I struggled to be grateful for the house. It was a constant headache. There's problems all the time. We found black mold. Like it was just one of those things that technically the house should have been amazing, like amazing location, amazing size, perfectly fine, like, you know, all the things. And it just turned out to be a disaster. And we absolutely hated living there and I couldn't wait to get out. And when I left, it was one of the happiest moments of my life last year. But what I want, well, this year, that house we lived in 2020, I absolutely loved. House I lived in 2019, I absolutely loved. This house I absolutely loved. That middle house was a product of me trying to rush a manifestation. And maybe that's a story I'll tell you another day. But the point being is I found it really difficult to be grateful in that time. And that house made me feel lack. And this was in the time in 2021 where I've already, at length spoken honestly about the fact that businesses don't always go forwards in an upward motion. And I definitely went through a period in my business in 2021. No, early 2022. Yeah, end of 21, early 22. Where I felt slippage, that's what I'm going to call it, slippage and a little bit of sliding backwards. And I let that mean something about me. I let that mean something about who I was. I let that mean something about my abundance and what was possible for me. I started to tell stories that I've been kidding myself, that I was living at, honestly, the barrage of lack that came at me was insane. But really the only way that I then got out of that into the place of abundance again, into the place where everything's growing again, everything's on an upward curve again, the money's there, I bought a house, I bought a new car, done all these amazing things, is truly because I got myself into an abundant mindset. Now, there's a few ways to do that. The biggest one and the best one and the most popularly, is that a word? Common ways to talk about is gratitude. And like I said, I sometimes find gratitude really, really difficult because it's not from a place of being spoiled. I probably was the least spoiled child I probably ever met, but it comes down to, in my head, the logic of why would I be grateful for something I don't want? Like, I'm a very pragmatic person, and being grateful for something I don't want makes me think, well, surely I'm just going to attract more of what I don't want if I'm grateful for what I already have. Like, what about the next level? What about the next standard? And what I will tell you is this, that if you are, it's nothing to do with the things that you actually have. It's nothing to do with the car that you actually have. It's nothing to do with any of that, and everything to do with the energetic state that gratitude creates. What gratitude creates is an elevated vibration. If you don't already know about the Abraham Hicks emotional scale, I definitely go check this out. And it talks about the fact that you move through layers. So you might feel helpless, and that's quite low down. Anger is actually a step up from helpless, because at least you're probably going to do something, right? And how you grow through the scale. And your aim when you don't feel good about something is not to go from 0 to 100. It's not to go from lack or negativity or fear or judgment or whatever it might be, to feeling amazing and abundant and generous. Like, that's not always the case, and it's not practical because it's not real. But what gratitude does is allow you to center in on a state of being and an emotional state that feels better, that it feels is a step ahead, is a step above. And what that does is it changes your energetic vibration, and it changes how you feel. So the way that we see things, and if you're watching this video, we see things through a very narrow lens. The lens that we create is basically our stories, our paradigms, our beliefs, what we believe is possible for us. And that's the lens we see the world through, because otherwise the brain would be processing too many images, too much sound, too much interference, right? So what we do is the reticular activating system helps narrow that down and give us a focus. So if we're focused on all the things that are wrong in our life, we're focused on lack, we're focused on not enough, that's what we will continue to see. And what gratitude does is just open our perception a little bit, gives us what we call perspective, which is why if you ever do any charity work or volunteering work, or you ever speak to someone who's going through a hard time, it gives you perspective, because what it does is open out that perspective. You're able to see a different way. Now, when we are cognitively able to see a different way, what then happens is energetically we feel different. And so energetically we feel different about the thing. Maybe we don't feel different about the thing, whether it's a lack of money right now, but what we do is we just feel different. We feel a little bit better. And that's all it's ever about, is reaching for the next level feeling. You're not going to go from 0 to 100. And if you do, you've got to ask yourself how genuine that is. But that being said, so what gratitude is, that first step to putting yourself into that more abundant energy. Now, this has been a powerful exercise for many people. And like I said, I still struggle with this. Sometimes I felt it was surface level. Sometimes I would write down or speak out loud the same things every single day, and I would find that frustrating. But when I actually give myself perspective, and I'm actually, one of the things I do for myself every single day is to zoom out of my life and get perspective every single day. So most people don't, well, probably do know, probably guess, I donate to a lot of charities, like a lot, like a huge amount of money through my business is donated to not-for-profits, a huge amount in the shelter crisis, YMCA, breast cancer research, the NSPCC, Dogs Trust, the RSPCA. Like, I mean, there's probably 20 charities that I have a monthly subscription to. And that's purely because when I get all up in my own head about something that's not working for me, the way that I have found to get out of that, to get myself into a more abundant state, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, actually, I'm just going to park that thought right there, is I have found that sometimes remembering how other people are living, or how other things that aren't so great in the world, is actually a very powerful tool for me. So I'm an empath. I'm a powerful empath. I can walk into a room and go, fuck this, I'm out. I can also walk into a room and feel clean and feel like, yeah, okay, this is a safe space for me. And still working on the boundaries I have with being an empath, especially in like busy public spaces. I can literally walk past people in the supermarket and be like, she's not okay. Like, it's weird, right? But what I will tell you is that when I put myself in the shoes of somebody who has less, and by less, I don't mean in a negative sense. I mean somebody who is finding life difficult, someone's challenged, someone who's ill, someone who's, you know, what actually happens to me is I embody it for half a second to remember, holy shit, if they had what you had, how grateful would they be? And what that enables me to do, because sometimes, like I said, I find it hard to be grateful, because in my head I'm like, but if I'm grateful for where I am, then I won't be able to strive forward. And that's your high achiever personality, right? Your high achiever personality will get in the way of gratitude every motherfucking time, every motherfucking time. And so what I do is I put myself in that position, and I'm like, right, now I feel abundant. And because I feel abundant, now I can go out there with this generous energy. I'm vibrating on another level. And what I really believe, and this is the thought that I've parked, is I believe that not everybody has what it takes to be super successful and super wealthy. I believe that everybody could be. There are many people I know who come from very humble backgrounds, including myself. I believe that not everybody has the desire, not everybody maybe has the tenacity, not everybody has maybe the intelligence, whatever you want to call it. However, that being said, I believe that we as people have a duty and a responsibility to live at our highest level of life. We have a duty and a responsibility to live to our highest potential. And not because somebody says we should, not because we think we have to, not because people will be disappointed if we don't, right? But because when we live in our fullest abundance, when we play full out at the game of life, and we give it our fucking all, and the money comes because it will, because when you deliver value or you deliver service or you deliver something that people want, there is always remuneration attached to that, right? Like, I love paying people to do stuff I want them to do, like my hair, my Botox, like I love buying my products. I love buying, like, I love doing those things. So if those people didn't exist, there would be a problem, right? So they're being remunerated for something I genuinely want, need, and love. Maybe we'll talk about worth in business. Okay, I'm gonna write this down. Podcast, worth in business. But what I want you to know is that, oh, hang on, my brain's gone. Yeah, okay, yeah. Right, so the remuneration, we have the responsibility to pay full out, because when we live at our fullest, highest selves, we then have extra. So I don't mean that once you've hit, the goals that you want for, being able to pay your mortgage, you then have to give the rest away. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you will live in an abundant life where there is more than you need, there is more than enough, and I talk about so much like this in the money course, like when you get to that place, you want to help people, you want them to live an abundant life, you want to support organizations, you want to serve others, you want to add value, you want to do these things. And so what I want you to know is that when you find yourself in a lack mindset, and you can get in a lack mindset when you're a bloody billionaire, right? Is that you will only attract more lack. And the only successful way to get yourself into an abundant mindset, in my experience, is one of two ways. So the first one is gratitude, that I've talked about. The second is feeling your way there. Now, we are feeling beings, right? We are not human doings, we are human beings, we are feeling beings. And so this is where things like visualization or meditation or some of these kind of practices can really help, is to feel what it feels like to have the thing that you desire, to feel what it feels like to have the money, to have the bank balance, to have the bills paid, and to actually imagine what it feels like. Because what that then creates is, you then emit the vibration of the person that has the thing. And when you emit the vibration of the person that has the thing, then you will attract to you what you are. And what happens is, people say things like, I want more money, but they're focused on the lack of money. They say, I want more time, but they're focused on how busy they are. They say, I want more clients, but they don't make space in their diary. And so what we have to remember is, and I'm going to say this 1,000 fucking times, is we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. And so if you want to attract more abundance, if you're finding yourself in a lack mindset right now, I know how, and I've just explained to you how ungrateful I can fucking be, right? And it's not because I'm ungrateful for the opportunities life has given me. It's not because I'm ungrateful. It's because when I want something, I find it difficult to be not frustrated by where I am. Because once you are somebody who's got vision and you see the vision and you're like, why am I not there yet? Right? It can be hard to be grateful for where you are now. But what I will tell you is, getting the perspective is fucking fundamental, like unbelievably fundamental, to achieving that next level thing. So the way to take yourself into an abundant mindset when you find yourself in lack is, number one, gratitude, or number two, feeling your way there. So I'm also going to be giving you some practical tips on how to make some cash over the festive season. So make sure to stay tuned to my newsletter. If you're not already signed up, you can literally go to lucysuperfox.com and join up there. And then I will talk on the next podcast all about worth and transforming your self-worth, transforming your sense of deserving, whilst also being a good fucking human. So I love you all very much. That was it for this episode, and I cannot wait to see you on in the next one. I'd love you to leave a review, share my podcast, tag me on social media. It's at Next Level Lucy or at Lucy Superfox on Instagram and Facebook. Have the most amazing week. If you don't hear from me again for the festive season, you definitely will. But if you're not listening before the festive season, I mean, why wouldn't you be? Then I hope you have a beautiful Merry Christmas if that's something you celebrate, and a Happy New Year. But otherwise, I'll see you on the episode.